Have you ever felt like your day controls you before it even begins? You open your eyes, your phone is already in your hand. Messages, news noise, all before your feet touch the floor. The day has already started without you, long before you were truly awake. This lesson is simple English, but it is for English learners who want more than words. Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about 3 small habits. They are quiet. They are easy. Almost anyone can do them. But if you build them into your mornings, in your 30s, in your 40s, they will quietly set you free. Free from stress that follows you all day. Free from the slow feeling of mediocrity, the sense that life is just happening to you. Free from the regret of looking back one day and asking, where did the years go? A new job will not fix this. A new house will not fix this either, nor will a new city or a new circle of friends. You just need a new morning. Free mornings build free lives. Stay with me for the next half hour because somewhere in these 3 habits, one of them is going to speak directly to you. Perhaps it is the first one. Perhaps it is the third. But by the end, you will see your mornings differently, and that will change how the rest of your day feels. Think about your last week. How many mornings did you wake up already behind, already rushing, already reacting to something instead of choosing something? Most people in their 30s and 40s live this way for years without noticing. They build careers, they build families, they build whole lives, but they never build their mornings. And slowly, without ever deciding it, their mornings start building them instead. It happens so gradually that almost nobody notices the exact moment it started. 1 year, you are choosing your mornings. A few years later, your mornings are choosing you, and you cannot remember when the switch happened. That ends today. Here is what we are going to cover. First, a habit of silence. Something so simple, you probably skipped it just this morning. Second, a habit of movement, not for your body to look different, but for your mind to feel different. Third, a habit of writing just a few lines that can lift an entire day off your shoulders before it even begins. None of these 3 habits require special equipment, a perfect schedule, or an extra hour you do not have. They fit into the cracks of an ordinary morning, the same morning you already wake up to just lived a little differently. 3 habits, 10 minutes each, maybe less. And yet people who build these into their lives often say the same thing. They say their days feel lighter. They say their minds feel calmer. They say for the first time in years, they feel like they are choosing their life instead of just surviving it. So let's begin with the first one, the habit almost everyone misses. Lesson 1. Morning silence. Before the world wakes you up, wake yourself up first. Picture this. A man in his 30s. Let's call him a busy man because that's exactly what he is. His alarm goes off. He reaches for his phone before he even opens his eyes. He checks messages. He checks the news. He checks an app that tells him nothing important, but he checks it anyway out of pure habit. Once he sits up in bed, his mind is already full of other people's words, full of other people's problems, full of noise that was never his to carry. He gets up like this every single day. And every single day by 9 in the morning, he is already tired. Not tired in his body, tired in his head. This is how most mornings begin for most people. Not with a choice, but with a reach for the phone, the screen, the noise. And once that noise enters first, it sets the tone for everything that follows. There is an old idea, much older than smartphones, much older than any of us. Centuries ago, a Roman emperor named Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private notebook early in the morning before his long day of decisions and duties began. He used that quiet time to remind himself how he wanted to think, how he wanted to act, what kind of man he wanted to be that day. He did not wait for the day to shape him. He shaped himself first in silence before the world had its chance to speak. He ruled an empire. He had armies to command, advisors waiting at his door, problems pulling at him from every direction the moment he stepped outside his own room. And still before any of that began, he gave himself those few quiet minutes. If a man with that much pulling at him could find 10 minutes of silence, the excuse that we are simply too busy starts to feel a little thin. No emperor title is required for this. Just 10 minutes is enough. 10 minutes of silence. No phone, no screen, no noise from outside your own mind. You can sit. You can breathe. You can simply look out a window and let your thoughts settle before anyone else's thoughts arrive in your head. The first 10 minutes of your day decide the next 10 hours. Reaching for your phone first fills your mind with everyone else's voice. Reaching for silence first lets you hear your own voice before the world gets the chance to speak over it. That one small difference, that single choice each morning, slowly shapes the kind of day you walk into. And over months, over years, it shapes the kind of life you build. So tomorrow, before you reach for anything else, try reaching for 10 quiet minutes instead. Let your own mind speak first. Lesson 2. Move your body early. Your body speaks first. Your mind listens after. There is a strange thing that happens to a lot of people in their 30s and 40s. They sit down for work, and somehow they do not get up again until lunch. They sit through meetings. They sit through emails. They sit through hours that blur together. And by the middle of the afternoon, they feel a tiredness that sleep cannot fix because it was never about sleep in the first place. It was about a body that never moved. There was a writer named Haruki Murakami who built one simple habit into almost every morning of his working life. Before he sat down to write, he would run. Not far, not fast, just enough to wake his body up before he asked his mind to create something. He once said that running cleared a space in his thoughts, a space where his best ideas could finally arrive. He did not run to escape his work. He ran to prepare for it. For years, he kept this same rhythm, almost like a quiet ritual, repeated without fail. Wake up, move, then sit down to write, while his body was already calm and his mind was already clear. Inspiration was never something he waited for first. He moved first, and inspiration learned to follow. No need to run for an hour, and no need for special shoes or a perfect plan. 10 minutes is enough. A short walk outside, a few stretches by your bed, even just standing up and moving your arms and legs before you sit down at a desk for the next 8 hours. Think about someone who works in an office, sitting through long days, barely moving from one task to the next. For months, energy stays low, focus stays foggy, and nothing seems to explain why. Then one small change begins. Just 10 minutes of movement each morning before work starts. Not a big workout, not a transformation, just movement. Within weeks, something shifts. The afternoon fog lifts a little earlier. The mind feels sharper during meetings. The body feels less like something to drag through the day and more like something working with you instead of against you. A tired body that moves becomes a calm mind. A tired body that hides under blankets all morning stays tired all day. Fitness is not the point here, and neither is how you look. This is about waking up every part of yourself before you ask any part of yourself to perform. Your body speaks first in small signals, energy, posture, breath. And if you listen to it early in the morning, your mind has an easier time listening to anything else for the rest of the day. That small habit of movement is the whole point. Small, but it changes the entire shape of your day. Lesson 3. Write before you scroll. What do you do in the first 5 minutes after you open your eyes? For most people, the answer is the same. They check their phone, not because they need to, just because it is there, and habit is strong, and the screen feels like the easiest place to start the day. But there is a cost to this that most people never notice. Every notification you read, every headline you scan, every message you open, before you have even gotten out of bed, asks something small of your mind. A tiny decision. Should I worry about this? Should I respond to this? Should I care about this right now? Psychologists call this decision fatigue, the simple truth that your mind has a limited amount of energy each day for making choices. And if you spend that energy at 7 in the morning on things that do not matter, you have less of it left for the things that do. What you do not write down, you carry all day in silence. Think of a woman in her 40s who has felt anxious for years without fully knowing why. Every morning, the moment she wakes, she checks her phone, and her mind fills instantly with other people's emergencies, other people's opinions, other people's noise. By the time she starts her actual day, she already feels behind, already feels heavy, already feels like she is reacting to 100 small fires before she has even had her coffee. She used to think this was just her personality, just how her mind worked. Anxious, scattered, always one step behind her own to-do list. It never occurred to her that the very first 5 minutes of her day were quietly setting that tone every single morning before she had a chance to choose anything else. One day she tries something different. Before she touches her phone, she writes 3 lines on a piece of paper. Just 3 things that matter most today. Nothing more. At first it feels small, almost silly. But within days, something changes. The morning feels lighter. Her mind feels clearer. Carrying everything in her head used to feel normal. Exhausting, but normal. Writing it down and letting go now feels like setting something heavy on a table instead of holding it in her arms all day. What you write in the morning, you do not have to carry in your head all day. This habit takes less than 5 minutes. 3 lines. 3 priorities. Written before any screen, any message, any noise has the chance to fill that space first. A messy scrap of paper works just as well as a perfect notebook. The point is not the paper. The point is the 5 minutes of clarity it buys you before the world gets a vote in how your morning feels. When this lesson starts helping you see your mornings differently, consider staying close to this channel. Every week there are more lessons like this one simple English real life, real change. Subscribe if you want more mornings like the one we are building together right now. Now here is something important. These 3 habits, silence, movement, and writing, were never meant to stand alone. Lesson 4. Why these 3? Work together. These 3 habits, silence, movement, and writing, were never meant to stand alone. Think of them like 3 parts of the same machine. Silence clears the mind. Movement wakes the body. Writing frees the day. Remove one and the other 2 still help, but something feels incomplete. Keep all 3 together, even for just 30 minutes each morning, and they begin to work like a small quiet system that carries you through everything else that follows. Here's what most people get wrong. They try to fix their whole life at once. New diet, new job, new schedule, new everything, all starting on a Monday that almost never lasts past Wednesday. They aim for a transformation, and when it does not happen overnight, they give up and go back to reaching for their phone the moment they wake up. It is a strange pattern, but almost everyone falls into it at some point. We want the big leap, the dramatic before and after the version of change that feels exciting enough to post about. But the mornings that actually change a life rarely look exciting at all. They look almost boring from the outside, quiet, repetitive, small. But that is not how real change works, especially not in your 30s and 40s when your life is already full of responsibilities. Family work bills, plans you cannot simply pause. Real change happens in small mornings, repeated day after day, until they quietly become who you are. Picture maybe someone like you juggling a job, a family, a long list of things that need attention. Their days are full before they even begin. For them, 3 small habits, 10 minutes of silence, 10 minutes of movement, 5 minutes of writing are not just possible. They are exactly the size of change a real life can actually hold. 30 minutes total spread across 3 habits that work together instead of competing for the same window of time. Not 30 minutes stolen from sleep. Not 30 minutes that demand giving up something else important. Just 30 minutes shaped differently than they currently are claimed, back from the scrolling and the rushing that usually fill that same space anyway. 3 small habits versus 1 heavy morning. That is the real choice most people are making every single day, often without realizing it. A free morning builds a free life, one small choice at a time. This is not about becoming a different person. This is not about discipline, so strict it breaks within a week. This is about 30 minutes, maybe less, that belong completely to you before the rest of the world asks anything of you at all. And once you protect that time, even imperfectly, even on mornings when you are tired or rushed, something starts to shift. Not overnight, not dramatically, now quietly. The way a small habit always changes a life, one ordinary morning at a time. Lesson 5. The cost of skipping. 8 years do not feel long until you count the mornings you lost. Think about someone in their early 30s. They tell themselves just this year, just until things calm down at work, just until the kids are a little older, just until life slows down a little. And so mornings keep slipping by the same way. Phone first, rush first, noise first. Nothing changes because nothing ever feels urgent enough to change. Then one day that same person is staring at their 40th birthday, or their 45th. And they look back, and the years between then and now feel strangely short, almost like they happened to someone else. Almost like they were watching their own life from a distance instead of living inside it. This is what happens when stress runs your mornings for long enough. It rarely announces itself loudly, and it almost never arrives all at once. It builds slowly morning after morning until one day you realize you have spent a decade reacting to your life instead of shaping it. You do not notice it happening in any single week. A rushed morning here, a chaotic one there, nothing that feels worth mentioning on its own. But stress is patient. It only needs years of ordinary mornings, each one slightly more reactive than the last, slowly training your nervous system to expect chaos before you have even opened your eyes. Mediocrity works the same quiet way. Nobody decides to live an average life on purpose. It happens by accident, one rushed morning at a time, one skipped moment of silence, one missed walk one day, where everything important stayed unwritten and unspoken in your head. None of it feels like a big decision in the moment, but add up enough small accidents, and they quietly become the shape of an entire life. And then there is regret, the heaviest one of the 3. Regret rarely comes from one big mistake. More often it comes from years of small mornings. You can barely remember mornings that blurred together into a kind of fog until one day you wonder where exactly the time went. It is a strange kind of grief morning years you technically lived through, but barely remember living. Not because anything terrible happened, just because nothing felt deliberate. The days were full, but they were not chosen. They simply passed one after another, while attention stayed somewhere else. A life built by accident feels very different from a life built on purpose, even if from the outside, both look almost the same. From the outside, two people can look almost identical. Same job, same neighborhood, same daily routine on paper. But on the inside, one of them chose this life on purpose, morning after morning, and the other simply drifted into it. That difference rarely shows up in a single day. It shows up across years in how settled or how restless someone feels when they finally stop to look at where they ended up. Guilt is not needed about the mornings already behind you. Guilt does not build anything, but awareness can. The moment you notice this pattern is the same moment you gain the power to change it, starting with nothing more dramatic than tomorrow morning. A new life is not what you need. A new morning is. Lesson 6. Start tomorrow, not someday. Here is the truth most people never say out loud. There is no perfect morning waiting for you in the future, and no version of your schedule that suddenly becomes empty and calm on its own. Someday never quite arrives on its own. There is only tomorrow morning. The one that is actually coming in a few hours, whether you are ready or not. Someday is comfortable because it asks nothing of you right now. Tomorrow morning is different. Tomorrow morning is real. It has an exact time you will open your eyes, an exact moment. Your hand will reach for something, your phone, or 10 minutes of silence instead. Someday lets you wait forever. Tomorrow morning gives you one clear chance. All 3 habits do not need to be perfect tomorrow, and there is no need to wake up an hour earlier or transform overnight. Pick one, just one. Maybe it is 10 minutes of silence before your phone. It could be a short walk before you sit down for the day. Or it might be 3 lines written before any screen gets your attention first. One habit done imperfectly beats 3 habits planned perfectly in your head and never started. Most people wait for motivation before they start, and motivation is unreliable. It shows up some mornings and disappears on others depending on sleep, weather, mood, 100 small things outside your control. The people who actually change their mornings rarely wait for motivation at all. They simply decide once, and then they repeat that decision quietly, morning after morning, whether they feel like it or not. Free lives are built from free mornings, not someday. Starting with the very next morning, you wake up. Imagine just for a moment, looking back 5 years from now. Not from a place of regret, but from a place of quiet pride, knowing that on an ordinary day, you decided to change something small, and that small thing slowly became the foundation for everything else. That version of you 5 years ahead is not asking you for a perfect plan today. They are only asking for tomorrow morning. That version of you will not remember whether the plan was perfect. They will only remember whether you started and whether you kept going on the mornings when it would have been easier not to. Tomorrow morning, you get to choose again. The same choice you have always had every single day of your life, except this time, you actually see it. Let's bring this back to where we started. 3 small habits, simple enough to start tomorrow morning. A few quiet minutes before the noise of the world reaches you first. 10 minutes of movement, so your body wakes up before you ask your mind to perform. A few lines written down so you carry less in your head and more on paper where it belongs. None of these habits are complicated. None of them require money equipment or a perfect schedule. They only require one thing from you: the choice to begin on one ordinary morning instead of waiting for a perfect one that will never arrive. Years from now, you will not remember most of your mornings individually. They will blur together into something larger, a decade, a chapter of your life, a feeling of how those years felt to live through. What decides that feeling is not any single dramatic day. It is the quiet pattern of 1,000 ordinary mornings repeated until they became who you are. A new life is not what you need. A new morning is. And tomorrow, you get exactly that. A brand new morning waiting for whichever habit you choose to start with. Free mornings build free lives. Not someday. Starting tomorrow. Keep listening and let stories like this one help you improve your English every week. When this lesson reaches you today, I would love to know which of these 3 habits will you start tomorrow morning. Silence movement or writing? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one, and I would genuinely love to know where you are starting. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this lesson meant something to you, consider subscribing so we can keep building mornings like this one together, week after week. Take care of yourself, take care of your mornings, and I will see you in the next lesson.